Whoa, whoa, whoa. Can you hear me? Do 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 do. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yo, yo, yo. Can you hear me? Do 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 do. I'm asking you this question as we sync up in line. I think believe my timer is set up to the wrong timing time, but don't worry. I'm asking for a reason. It's simply to get everything in line because I know you want to hear me say what I'm getting ready to describe. Yo, everybody, welcome to the show. It is me, 3D, and I'm here hoping to change your perspectives. You saw the title, SMBB, EOMM, or self-chosen matchmaking. I mean, basically, have you ever considered how you get matched up for online multiplayer? Many people think of ranked versus unranked, but what if I said every online match has an algo to do player matching, and this can be modified on the fly in most cases? So get out of that what you might, because, of course, that could mean quite a bit of different things. And yes, I am basically stating some of those we might be talking about later today. But before we get into that, I want to talk about today's sponsor, um, Shield Folio. That's right. If you scan the QR code to my head, well, my bad, the other way, to my side, or if you scan the one way down there on the with this Shield S, you can go ahead and try to get yourself a Shield Folio. This is a little handbook, and it allows you to put your passwords for your different websites, allows you to put your crypto keys or anything you need to keep safe into paper that's basically made from some type of stone. So it's tear resistant, water resistant, fade resistant. It is awesome permanent paper, so you can put stuff down and permanently have it available in a strong method that is pocket friendly. And we have a discount code Bitcoin Live 20 if you want to get 20% off today. Thank you again, Shield Filio, for sponsoring the network and today's episode. So, whew, what can we say? I think we know exactly what we can say. I'm just not sure how to put it completely into words. Give me 20 seconds to figure it out. Um, 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 um. Oh yeah, a little bit trickery there. I was just trying to get into the in outs. All right, thank you again, Shield Folio, for sponsoring today's episode. So again, in the corner, you can scan at any point in time to basically get your Shield Folio. Now, that's also a key point for what's going on throughout today, throughout the episode. I am going to be putting QR codes on the screen so you can follow along with any point in time that we're at a spot where you could visit to read more, learn more, or just to see the proof itself. Um, and at the moment, I am actually getting right now set up the YouTube chat, or yeah, so that way, if you want to go ahead and get involved or say hello from wherever you're at, just go ahead and head over to the YouTube, drop in, and your chat should be live on screen here very quickly. Um, so, hold on a second. Let me just get the chat up. I got the thingy. It's just, you have to tell it to go to the right. There it goes. All right, now we got the chat is up. So, for example, if I hit the heart, you see it. Yay! Okay. Um, into the episode. Okay, for real, for real. Um, well, it turns out that some game companies have gotten so big, they realize they can potentially earn more from players if they just adjust how games are matched for them instead of just matching based on player metrics like skill. So, what does this mean? You may be able to adjust your matching to better suit you. Let that sink in as I clearly state this up front. This is a theory of concept for vulnerability searching in the matchmaking services that are already available to potentially allow you to get the more suitable match for you to get whatever it is you're wanting, a win, a good time, your choice, because of what's already available. So let's go into a tiny little backstory. I was doing some research for a different episode and one that hasn't released yet, and I wanted to change up things, and I wanted to do like a real video game. Like basically, I was doing research. It got me down downslope, and I was like, well, I want to do a video game in my spare time to make myself feel better. And when I was looking up how to do in-game multiplayer, this is when I started finding some scary stuff. Basically, I first found a video of a player claiming it was a bot moving their target. And of course, uh, got me thinking, could this not be a bot? You know, and well, that pretty much jumps us where we're about to jump into. Let me get my background down. There you guys go. Come on, go on your screen. So this is the first one that we came across. This publication basically popped up in my searching, and it gave me some key terms like SMBB. So essentially here, this is esports.gg, the Call of Duty news, and they're talking about basically how the aim of SMBB is a team-based FPS. And at first, I was thinking this SBMM was a game or something, but then you go up in here and you start realizing, no, this is just how it's done. And so this is kind of what got me into what's going on. And if we just read right here, it says, I sign on for my first COD War public game of the day. Do I want to use a sniper? Maybe try something off meta? No, I can't. Skill-based matchmaking has me facing fiction, and has boys who are all 6 running MP5s and sweating their asses off. SMBB will kill COD pubs. And that pretty much got me on the what? There's a video here if you want more information. There, right there is the link. Let's see if we can get that generate a QR for you guys. There you go. There is the QR of that video if you're wanting to check it out. I just want to kind of give you this because he kind of explains, they go through and talk about different types of matchmaking. And one is based on skill, one is not. And we kind of got that pretty clearly from the tweet, even though the tweet's not as clear as I'd like it to be. So let's keep on going. So that led me down the rabbit hole. So now we're here on Reddit. This one kind of made more sense to things. It's not SBMM. Having played a lot of Vanguard Ranked, which had used a well-turned ELO, I know how progressively getting better and playing better, player feels. I know how it feels to play in ranked experiences that are true SBMM systems. Public matchmaking is nothing like this. Testing from exclusive ace, drifter, and show that lobby that skill level has a correlation with the recent performance in the global stats. Through global stats shows some correlation. So basically he's saying, look, we can really tell from global stats when SBMM is being used versus EOMM or something else. Because when it's skill based, your higher skill based players' stats tend to always be greater or up to similar equalnesses. Maybe they might have some differences that are equitable. You might have some downfalls here or there. For everybody, might be different at spots, but you see their overall metrics would make a ring metric, and they would all be very similar because they're all really good players, right? So their metrics would be similar, and then bad players, their metrics are similar. EOM, in the rankings, you have a very strange mix of ranking stats. So where you might have some where like your major clusters are like in like specifics like accuracy, quickness to hit, assist versus, or maybe like hit versus assist, and then your low ranking, like low skill players would have more assists versus hits. They might have a real low accuracy rate, but they might have a real high fire count. So the little things, and they were saying based on other games, looking at metrics like this is how they figured it out, and they're kind of saying as far back as 2019 maybe. There's a lot of here to unpack, and I don't want to unpack it all. I just want to give you guys the basic bit of what's really going on is using a combination of data, public available data on each player, global stat rankings, and like physically getting in the game and playing. You very quickly should be able to tell if it is at SBMM or EOMM. I'm gonna keep getting that mixed up because SMB is something else that I'm used to saying. So my apologies. Because everybody loves systematic bankruptcy. Now I did find this thing here on Brilliant because I know a lot of people are probably going to be thinking, really, does it matter about matchmaking algorithms? And when I looked up this, it kind of explains a little bit of what's really going on that most people probably wouldn't get. Which, when you come down to it, they're going to show it to you very visibly. Let's see if we can zoom that in. And it's pretty simple. It's like, look, we get all these connections, right? All these are connections. Some of these you might not want, though. And then some of these, like some of them you don't need and some of them you don't want. And then you end up with a smaller, less cluster of stuff. Like, this is what's connected, right? Now you have two different teams and they're all connected. So they all can play together. Here's a little bit more, I guess, decentralized maybe. Got more connections going on. But like, as you go throughout this entire thing, it will just kind of show you things, and you can, like you said here, that there is an actual test, so it's asking you if you learned something or whatever. This is brain.org, right? They're going to do that to you, but they explain it in a very sympathetic manner of the importance of connecting. Like, we see all these connections, and then it's reduced to these. Right, is it the same? No, they're just color changing them. Basically, the way it works is you can there it goes, there's the reduction. You can reduce how many connections everybody needs in order for everybody to still be able to interact with everybody. So basically, all players can play. And finding these connections, they pretty much go, look, there's a lot of time factor into matching algorithms, into these matching algorithms. There's a lot of time factor, and people don't like to wait. So they have to find other ways to work around that. So our next one right here is literally from CallOfDuty.com. It is one of the it's an update in their matchmaking system, and we're kind of just down here in the middle, and it's like, yeah, want to make sure I'm in the right spot. So measuring connection for matchmaking. Whether you're playing for fun or with friends or looking to climb the leaderboards, connection with the most important part of the online Call of Duty experience. Connection directs the speed at which the game can transfer information from every player to and from our servers. Call of Duty's matchmaking process evaluates a metric we call delta ping, which is the difference in a round trip time between of data between your best data centers, almost always the closest one to you, and the data center on which your lobby has been placed. This is kind of like, what's the difference between how our connections are talking to each other. To say again, we always try to maximize the times we place players in data centers that are closest to them. So they're always trying to get their connection as close to the player as possible to reduce that delta ping, which is relying on two different sets of information: closest connection to the player and closest data center that Call of Duty match is set with through to that connection. So cool. Measuring time of matchmaking. So any form of matchmaking takes time. If the wait time in a lobby is excessively long, players typically recycle the process by canceling out of the matchmaking search and restarting it, or even quitting. This does not quicken the matchmaking process, and in fact can even make it really bad. It basically can DDoS the system when people just keep doing that. So, for example, in the popular Modern Warfare 3 Rust playlist consisting of Rust and Shipment and Rotation, players often leave lobbies or matches early, early on, hoping to something into Shipment instead. So basically, like, look, they would leave a match early to hopefully get matched quicker the next time, is what they're thinking. Well, if we got all these people who are about to be in this with me too in the match, in the wait time, I want to get in there first. This creates a vacant spot on their team during an early stage of the match, though, and as the matchmaking process may prioritize backfilling and that spot, this could result in players receiving that rust is disproportionate select over shipment. Trying to cherry pick maps may have an unexpected result. So you're not happy where they got placed, you leave, you come back, and then basically you're ruining everybody else's experience. So they're kind of explaining a very common problem. Players end up DDoSing the servers. So one of their points behind everything we're saying is like, if they can reduce the amount of times players are wanting to quit early, leave the wait time, they can basically guarantee better service, faster service, and more appropriate service, which is true. But that's their perspective on why they're doing what they're doing. Oh, we're about to get into it. We're going to get into it. I got it, okay? So give me a second. I got to lead up to it, right? So while skill is one of several factors in Call of Duty multiplayer matchmaking, we know community wants more information on how it fits into the process. Skill is determined based on players' overall performance. Kill deaths, wins, losses, more, blah, blah, blah. How long you would do this, blah, blah, blah. All sorts of different crap, right? This is a fluid measurement that's consistently updating and reacting to your gameplay. Skill is not a factor in matchmaking players against appropriate enemies, but also when finding teammates. And I said that wrong. It's not just when finding enemies, but also when finding teammates. You want to be in a team that's going to be working with you, not a team that's working against you. So those metrics are needed there too. Who's on your team? Call of Duty has historically considered player performance among other factors as part of the matchmaking process. Our work in this area dates back as early as Call of Duty 4 back in 2007. Skill is implemented across the video game industry. We recognize that continuous refinement is required to deliver the best possible experience to the players. However, I added that part in, we use players' performance to ensure that the disparity between the most skilled player in the lobby and the least skilled player in the lobby isn't so vast that players feel their match is a waste of time. Our data on player outcomes clearly indicates that the inclusion of skill, at least currently as it stands, increases the variety of outcome experienced by players of all skill levels. In other words, all players, regardless of skill, are more likely to experience wins and losses because of this. Our data shows that when lower skill level players are consistently on the losing end, though, however, they like to quit matches and progress or stop playing altogether. This is an effect on the player pool. A smaller player pool means higher wait times for matches, increase connections. There's a decrease of connections, and strong connections tend to get dropped because I hate to be honest, a lot of lower end players tend to have better data connections as they're not sure what's making them bad. That tends to be the first thing they try to increase their skill. First, it's data connection, frames per second, and then specialized controllers and TVs. And then they actually work on their skill. And they're saying, yeah, they see this truly happening, and it does affect the pool. This can compound over time to create a spiraling effect. So you can have a problem where like you're so low or so high of a skill level compared to everybody else in the pool, you can't get connected. It's basically what they're saying, the spiral effect. Death spiral, if you're in crypto, there is such thing as a matchmaking death spiral, where, again, you're on 1, 2, you're either too good or too bad, and you just can't get matched. I've actually been in, I'm that terrible multiplayer type of player like this, and I have actually had this problem where I've been unable to get matches in games just because I was just too damn bad at the game. But I still found the game fun. That's the whole point, where I was playing with friends. But it does happen. And so they might benefit to get rid of these problems, like death spirals, right? So let's continue on, though. Eventually, when only high-skilled players remain because the lower-skilled players have quit out of frustration, the result is the resistance is worse overall for everyone. Basically, you just get a handful of skilled players that just wipe the floor with everybody else, period, no matter who they come across. and then everybody else in the between, when they're not having someone just wiping their floor with them, they are all basically fighting tooth and nail to get a win. Or it's really really confusing. Like, you think they would be wanting that, but sometimes gamers just want it easy, I guess. Game data indicates that having some limitations on the disparity of skill across the players in a match makes for a healthier ecosystem. We also understand that many high-skilled players have more variety of experience, but often feel like they only get the sweetest of lobbies. We have heard feedback clearly and will continue to test and actively explore ways to mitigate this concern. And there's a bunch of other stuff here. I really want to get through this because there's a lot of stuff here. And we can just like go through the entire PDF because I found it. QR, hit the QR, scan it, check it, get it going, because yeah. Um, do, 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 do. Oh yeah, my bad. I'm not gonna go through all of this. There is more in here. Just trying to see where it said thingy is. It kind of get so here's visuals of like delta ping and um, so the matching algorithm, though, I think is probably the part that everyone's really more concerned about. Um, so there are some stuff in here that's kind of cool. So some searches are used as seeds. For some game modes, all searches can be seeds, and for some others, a random subset of searches is used. So basically, like, they're hash manipulating their seeds. Essentially, I'm not like there's tons of ways this can be done. But this is the way I can explain it. So if you say game modes are just like hash blobs, then they can just basically do a search query within those hash blobs for set words that gives them that basically allows you to pick things like uh, location, maps, lands, even groups of people to play with. And if you can't manipulate it, then you can't be used with it. So that's kind of cool, and it basically prevents unwanted matchmaking. For seed, or an ordered list of candidate searches is found using some kind of heuristic list. This heuristic looks at the large number of matching factors, including physical distance, platform control scheme skill. So it looks at a bunch of stuff and compares it. This makes the complexities far lower. A greedy algorithm is used for searches to, if possible, match for the seed, such as match. This gets you a faster, quicker result. And if a given seed finds a candidate satisfy the constraints for all searches in the set, then the match is created. So then they have like ways to view how stuff is being done with those seeds and stuff. But I thought the fact that they have just those full simple, these are what it takes to get a match. Searches with seeds. Some need to be randomized, some don't. Some have to be specific too. For each one of these setups, you need to basically compare data and all of it, and then you at least need to try to get the top prioritized match type, or follow suit with whatever you get at the end. So this is where a bulk of the matchmaking conditions are considered, maybe not all of them. And then if it happens, you just continue on and see what happens. And let it happen when it happens, but as long as you basically can satisfy all of the searches in the set, then you're good. So as long as each search set is good, you're good, even if you can't satisfy everything in each search. That's not too bad. That means that there's room for error, right? Like, there's room for, like, hey, look, this person out here not getting a match for 3 runs. Maybe we need to put him in and run. Things like that. But a lot less complicated than what I actually just said. Okay. So I was like really looking into putting this into a game, and I found this, and if anything, it's just like a neat way to see like the code. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, they kind of make fun of some of the stuff that's in here, and even if you don't get the code or anything, it's actually a really useful site to actually set up a mock matchmaking service so you can see how it can be manipulated and stuff. I just thought it was a fun site, explains it for anybody who might want to play with this type of stuff. Alright, so we're going into the next one, EOMM. Alright, so we've been talking about SBMM this whole time. Now we're on EOMM, an engaged, optimized matchmaking framework. Now, I can't just go here and be like, yeah, bro, like I actually got it this time. We got the PDF, bro. Now, I had downloaded this PDF, so you have to download it for yourself, so I gave you the site just a second ago. So I can't give you a link for this one, because this is just a downloaded PDF that was released in 2017. So don't think that this is actually new or anything. Here's a comparison. This is basically, my bad. This is an entire framework of EOMM, how it works, why it works, everything. Matchmaking connection multiple players to participate in online PvP games. Current matchmaking systems depend on a current core strategy to create fair games at all times. These systems pair similarly skilled players on assumption of fair game and for best play result. We will demonstrate, however, that this is intuitive assumption sometimes fell in the matchmaking based on fairness and is not optimized for engagement. In this paper, we will purpose on engagement framework that maximizes overall player engagement. We prove that skill-based matchmaking is a special case for EOMM on a highly simplified assumption that rarely holds in reality. Our simulation on real data of popular game mode by EA supports the theoretical results, showing a significant improvement in enhancing player engagement compared to existing matchmaking methods. PvP is a game mode which people fight against each other, blah, blah, blah. And there is data here, bro. A lot of data here. They give it to you even in the math is here. It's all here. Alright, let me go back. So I didn't get it from these guys, but I got where I got my PDF from here. I started here and then got it. Alright, here. So, you know. Can I put that into, can I do it? Let's see if I can generate a QR code just for this one link down here on the page. This QR is for this little link right here, which should be the PDF. Alright. Because it is insane. Basically, what they end up finding in simplified is that engagement matchmaking is pretty much the way to go. So this paper presents a novel framework to achieve engagement optimized matchmaking. It formulates matchmaking a problem of maximizing the player engagement and solves the optimization efficiency. Employ 3 components: a skill model, engagement predictive model, and a minimum weight perfect matching algorithm, the greedy algorithm, each of which is tailored flexibly for the specific applications. In other words, it can be done on the fly. It can be changed on the fly. It can be altered on the fly. We can run simulations whose configurations were based on real data from online PvP games. The results of the EOM significantly outperforms all other methods in numbers and retained players. So something you might want to know, the reason why they gave EA a shout out is they actually just did that. They literally went and changed, like they just changed how people were being matched and watched how much longer people played. That's real data, real things that they did. They even looked at how well you did during the time frame that you were in this new one versus the other one, which means there was times they were looking at beforehand, during it, and after sure it wasn't a fluke. I like how it's like almost all of this was uploaded in 2018. It was actually published in 2017. So they did hide it for a while. It was actually not public for a while, which a lot of these findings and stuff, a lot of times they're not public. We've actually gotten some on the show that were not public, and they were still given to us, thankfully. So we are here. Now, this is a comparison analysis of SBMM and EOMM from 2022. So it's been around and played with long enough for there to be a multi-year comparison analysis of the new versus the old algorithm for matchmaking. Don't worry. There's an online PDF. It's insane. Alright? This means that not only were you subject, if you're a gamer, were you subject to how you were being matched in games multiple times, but also against multiple platforms for multiple reasons, mostly to just make other companies more money. How much rating information from a single game? Suppose you have two players A and B, and the only possible outcomes of A wins or B wins. Clearly, a game outcome consists of mostly one bit of information at most, because we knew from the ratings that player A, which was stronger than player B, the game outcome with no surprises. Hence, there was B almost no information convoyed. So, like, even how they look at what is information versus what is just bullcrap, they're very particular. A question often asked in relation to rating systems and the system can be gained. For combined rating and matchmaking systems, there are essentially two things people might want to do. Have their ratings appear higher than they actually are to show off to the leaderboards. Have their ratings appear lower than they actually are to manipulate the matchmaking. They can have a high skill gamer play under their account. They can get matched with. Okay, so now this other part's kind of BS. The way you actually do this, alright? This stuff that here is the way they're describing how most people can do it. You can use manipulative software to your data connection. That is an actual true statement. A lot of times, your last two games that you plan on playing, you throw it. You just let yourself get killed. You put yourself out in the middle. You throw it. You let your rankings go down. You purposely have a higher shot count for no reason, a lower accuracy, and at least two games. You go more than that, and it's going to really affect your ranking. So then the next time you come in, your first couple of games are going to be absolutely the best, right? And after a while of doing this, you might play 2 rounds, get the best, then throw the next 2 rounds and quit. So that's one of the things they're also considering, stuff like that. They're looking for that. So they can get matched with their friends who are willing to manipulate the game outcome. Something we're going to be talking about very shortly, how to do. Possibles. Now, I'm actually going to be doing it and showing you guys how to do it so you guys can just play with your friends, but you want to make sure your game set looks really good. What if your first 2 games was matched with only your friends, guaranteed to throw the match for you? And then your last 2 matches were with random people you don't know that you threw the match for them. You might become a really popular person pretty quickly. Possibilities here are the network bridging and entering matchmaking at exactly the right time with a low population of players. Also de-leveling, throwing your games. They can obtain a new account. This is actually super common. This is actually becoming a trend video type on YouTube, where someone will make a brand new account on a game they play all the time, just to see how fast they can go up the rankings, like in like 10 matches or 24 hours, and the goal there is to either beat yourself in real time, like your actual thing, yourself on the leaderboard, or to basically just dominate. You get a lot of good videos where you're dominating gameplay, and that's one easy way to do it. Just start a whole brand new account and just play. Um, you can't have it all. Match quality and waiting time. This is really what we wanted to get to. Suppose your multiplayer online games can be described as the following numbers. This. Okay, we all have the following formula. T equals, waiting equals, N times match times participants times skill divided by online. So modes times match times participants times skill divided by online. That is not that complicated. That's really simple. That's insanely simple. Gosh damn, no wonder this is so fast. That's the other thing. It's simplified. It simplifies how everything needs to be done to determine matching. That was the big thing. Is basically EOMM does do something. It's actually faster in figuring stuff out. Okay. Now, how to actually let's look at matchmaking. So we've already thrown some things at you where we're saying, EOMM, SMBB. So we're already talking about matching. If we look down here and we kind of look around, we'll see very quickly there's not a whole lot of ways to match. These are services. Some of these services are unique to the way they match and things like that, kind of like Dragonfly. And then the rest of these are pretty much just hot swappable MM matchmakers. Some of them are just data centers that allow you to get them put together, and some of these are a bit different. We're going to kind of go over some of these. I just found this as a quite good resource for finding a general selection. So a lot of these are exactly the same, and for how they do their math and such. Then we have like this one. This actually shows you what's going on in the background on in this case it is AWS. So this is basically this is everything that has to happen in the AWS cloud infrastructure in order for you to be put in a spot to be found by their matchmaking service. All this has to be done before they can just put you in a spot to be found. And everybody has their own something like this. This is probably the most complex one I could find, and I wanted to make sure you guys saw this because that's stupid complex for no reason. I mean, actually, they have their reason, but I don't know their reason, and I don't care. So, Dragonfly, we were just looking at a big selection by these people. Dragonfly basically seems to be a really good deterministic algorithm software. It's basically undoubtedly good at what it's doing. This still has a vulnerability that can run it, and anyone. Basically, what I'm saying is that anyone can run Dragonfly alongside their software to then appear like a main branch server, which then you can use a DNS resource to hope you get discovered, and just by simply waiting an insane amount of time, you could actually get paired to your best possible game match every time. This may be used by some streamers to have predetermined matchmaking on games that don't normally allow for private matchmaking service. In other words, you can actually either wait really long periods of time, get the best match ever, or the best match in your favor, or just match up with friends running this exact same setup as you, pretty much locally, or even non-locally in a specific manner, like VPN structures and setups, so that way you could have like stuff like, I don't know, like a Discord only server network. Where basically you could put out a Discord server link that would redirect you to connect into one of these matchmaking networks that you guys have set up to ensure that the only people you're ever matching with on this game that doesn't normally let you do this would be your Discord server members. It'd be a really great way to connect with their Discord friends. And they actually compare themselves to Redis. The whole thing about this is they're fast. They are fast. Alright, I'm just giving you the link to them. We're not going to go directly into them on everything because it's just another service. Basically, Dragonfly wraps everything to one solution. But there are traditional multi-server solutions, which are traditional, so to speak. See if let me in. Oh, there. Denial. The reload finally hit. I should be able to get you guys a link at least. So we're going to be talking about Photon. So Photon is the traditional multi-server connection setup. This is actually one of the ones they were like directly, like Dragonfly was directly relating to this system. And right here on the very front, they pretty much explain everything you need to know about these traditional systems. Client with input authority, server, other clients. So we have a client that can give us the input, that's the player, right? And they are talking through a network buffer system. They get to the actual client server, the connection server. And everybody has their own set of everything, but everything you see connects. So our headers are all different, but our blue and red the same. This means everything works together. And as you go further down, we got the RPCs, APIs, non-static and non-static return flow, how it all works and why. Cool. So just looking at this, you should be able to see the vulnerability. Other clients and client with input authority, neither of those have to be real. Or those. Basically, you can flip and have client with input authority on both sides, and it will work the same. And you can have other clients on both sides, and it will work the same. So, multifunctional, cross servers, cross platforms, cross everything. So, very flexible, which is why this is probably the most common used one to date. Is this one, Proton. Now, my thingy says to go to the topology. So here is their network topology. So you can see here there's 4 major ways to have it: dedicated, deterministic, client host, and shared. And what I am saying is even if a company is using dedicated server, you can set up, maybe not their quantum deterministic. In this case, you'd be running a Fusion shared client host. No, you'd be running a Fusion shared to mimic the actual dedicated server, and that would be your way in. Hell, even running the client host to run a LAN party, that one will be fun too. And that's really what we're doing, is that dedicated server doesn't always have to be that dedicated server, because we're dealing with systems that are really they're cross multi-networks, and that's where we start having the error in what they're doing. This is where we can start kind of getting our manipulation in to get our best connection possible, or just matchmake with our friends directly. Which again, the entire point of this video really is to show you just that multiplayer networking is not as complex as it really should be. It can be simplified, and at the same time, with the way it's set up, there's ways to actually get better games. Rather, you're looking to just have fun, or you're looking to get the best actual game. There are ways to do it. And so here, this probably being one of the biggest ones from like indie games, smaller time developers, and a lot of Steam games, um, they tend to use Unity. Um, and so, yeah, if you look on here, they got more than one setup. They got ClanForge and basic multiplayer hosting, which their multiplayer hosting is a type of Fusion, or not Fusion, it's basically, what was that other one we're looking at? It's basically a Photon setup. And ClanForge Unity's legacy enterprise solution for hosting and scaling your game is ClanForge. But I did find another one. We'll get into that in a minute. I just wanted to give you guys this in case you're dealing with Unity games, because it's very possible if you're building your own game, you're trying to look into how to set up. That way, you're playing either like a game or you're building a game, and if you're gonna deal with Unity games, you're gonna have to deal with Unity stuff. Now here's Redis. Here's the one that they were directly referring to. Well, you know what? I got one. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I need to back out for a second. I want to point this out before I continue, because this AnyConnect error that we're basically been talking about, this is a feature in almost all multiplayer games that use server solutions or multi-company solutions to solve the expanding issues when launching a high anticipated game. Many places go to, many people that go to release their game end up handling this. In some cases, it's built into the game logic, like Unity games. And I am simply pointing out that this means that you can set up a virtual machine or dedicated hardware with dedicated false configs and faux docs to appear correct. Then you should be able to set what tiny setting hosting servers can do. And yes, this means you would be hosting the session, so you maybe use a cloud service that specializes in this. And yes, there are many, by the way, that do charge for use to make it easier on you and cheaper. This is a great idea for streamers needing perfect content, or a group of decentralized friends wanting to just guarantee they can play together in their favorite game. And this is actually the only reason why I'm doing this video. I think it was asked so that way a couple of people could figure out how to maybe potentially play their PlayStation 5's games together, but they can't physically connect them. They can't LAN party. So decentralized LAN party. But okay, the last part of what I'm really getting at really is that there's this problem that occurs as well, and it can be abused, and most likely has been abused for years without even you knowing that it's being abused by others, and most likely also the company running your game servers is abusing this to basically go against you. You need to be aware of what they can really do and what they actually are doing, and how little, basically how centralized it is, matchmaking services. So the one we're looking at now, Redis, is the most commonly used setup for multi-system multiplayer connect. And believe it or not, Proton, I believe, is one of the things that Redis uses. So this is one of the specifically mentioned by Dragonfly as well. And it's probably the longest, the oldest trusted setup for online multiplayer. Not matchmaking, but multiplayer. They got solutions. Okay, I'm in libraries and tools to start you off. These people, they got solutions, but there's money that might be involved. But anyways, anytime I hear the phrase eldest or longest trusted setup, I know it's broken. I know there's something wrong with it. Every time that anybody's ever said that, it's always been broken. It's just a matter of time before someone figures out how. So, one of the weird things about this thing that we're trying to do, I know, like, if we could put it in the right light, you could say it's an attack. But for the most part, we're literally just looking for a multiplayer network solution. That's what we're looking for. So here is someone that they really went through it. And they basically found a bunch of problems that almost everyone has trying to do this. And here are the solutions. Here are the solutions. And one of the problems I've noticed is that there are sometimes one of the problems that people have is if there are no players to connect to servers, that can sometimes mess up matchmaking services. So there is a chance that there are game companies producing bots to ensure that there is no dead connection possible. So basically, you don't ever get a matchmaking algorithm running that ends up going, oh, I have no one to pull from. So something to really think about. Because a lot of times that was one of the fixes for a lot of these problems was simply ensure you have a player available at all times. Here is another one for Unity. Let me go to my notes, see why we have a second Unity one in here. Oh yeah, this may help you get things figured out. I don't know, but didn't want anyone to miss this option for testing. May be expandable to other systems, just in theory of what is really going on. Hint, hint. I really do mean this. There is going through this entire thing for Matchmaker, getting started, concepts, everything. It basically you're gonna have. Hang on, let me just go to the next page. I think it explains it better here. Use a sample, okay? Use these techniques and expand on them. Just that's all it takes. And using these techniques and expanding on them, and then troubleshooting, and you got this. I showed you the troubleshooting one. And the reason why I do that with Unity is because there's a lot of people complain online saying to other people trying to do this, talking about how they got through it and stuff. And Unity had a lot of problems. But there was a lot of games that used this. Google's for Open Match. And best system to abuse in the method we are talking about for connecting decentralized friends, Open Match. I don't know what is up with Google, but they love to create things that are best for doing not the best of stuff. But okay, so you get to a point where finding ways to get your player into game, to get yourself into game. This is one of the things that you're going to be trying to figure out the most if you're not just trying to play with friends. Okay, how do I get myself where I can be picked up? This is getting into the meat and potatoes type of info. I really can't review this. Legally, I can't. I would love to. But I do believe it is against the TOS of every streaming service in existence to discuss how they may be connecting all the cellular devices to non-cellular devices. This is kind of like drag and drop a player into a matchmaking service network. So under certain types of usage, you could use this service to drop your server into matchmaking networks. Just saying. This is one of the systems that will help you figure out where to put you. It's insanely good. I can't talk more about it. I think I said enough. I got a note here that says do not talk more about it. So subspace I found this, and from the player perspective, I thought this is really helpful. If you're not wanting to do everything I'm basically hinting at, and you just want to figure out how to get yourself the best matchmaking setup you can do as a gamer, the site's going to help you get there. I'm not going to go over it, but I wanted you to have the access to it because they kind of explain stuff pretty simple. And again, you see they're using open match here. They are actually showing you what I'm talking about. And this is, as a gamer, what you can actually do. And they really explain some of the stuff in better detail. But some of the stuff, I can't. If I go into this stuff, I could potentially be doing something that's against just the streaming terms of service. And I don't want to really do that. Now, this is designed for legitimate reasons. Okay. And basically, this is designed for tournament play. This is designed for people wanting to be professional gamers. And I wanted to make sure you have access to this because it's good. It's really effing good. But it gets funner. Let's go fun. Let's have a little bit of fun. I found this. I was like, no effing way. Some of you will love this. Some of you will like this. And other of you people will be like, huh? What? But then, you know, this will allow you to get like SCMM on games like Cyberpunk. And you don't know what CSMM is? Alright, wait, did I say that right? Let me look. Yeah, CSMM. It's self. I believe it's self custody. No, not self custody. Self chosen multiplayer match or matchmaker. Yeah, self chosen matchmaker. So okay. Look, being able to play one player games with friends like you would have back in the 90s when you guys just plugged everybody into the same console, it really is worth it. And when you're talking about wanting to do, you want to ensure you get matched in a way specifically, like you want to play with friends or something, or you want to get in a specific lobby or something like that on a setup for you. These people here, this is a big community. There's people here who might actually know information that can help you. Even without you saying all the details or talking about everything. But there's people in this community for creating mods specifically to connect people together where they might be able to tell you, like, maybe some of the pitfalls you're having with your setup. Maybe little details like that. This might just be access to a community of individual peoples that you might not be able to get access to any other way because they just want to play games with friends. Entire community of it. Now, I think if we go into anything, we say before you watch this video, you probably thought you knew matchmaking. But now, hopefully, you understand matchmaking is a large multi-process. And it has tons of holes, problems, and potential vulnerabilities that players could really utilize to better their gameplay or externally perceived skill. As odd as this part may seem, I actually gave enough information for someone to add multiplayer matchmaking into their video game as a bit of indirect usability for this video, just like the exploitability of matchmaking services entirely. Hint, hint, get the best out of your gameplay, your services, your match, whether they like it or not.